that Yu's next opponent will take more than just raw skill to defeat. These guys are pussies who don't fight on fair grounds. Carmen warns our boy to trust only her and Coach K. Yu's usual training continues with Carmen keeping a strict watch. She learned that his daily life is pretty pathetic, as all he does is cycle between the home and the gym. There's a sudden shift in Yu's eyes, as if he's even more depressed now. After this training, Carmen and Yu head home when he asks about the bodyguards. She tells him they're guarding his place. She tells Yu to prioritize his own life if they ever get attacked in public since she can handle the threats by herself. At home, Carmen is forced to be his cook since they can't trust anyone. She recommends that he doesn't eat food outside since fast food workers are easy to be bought as they're already surviving on pennies. Carmen winds up preparing a bunch of different dishes for him to eat, admiring her own cooking skills. She's stunned when she sits across the table from him and sees Yu's frowning expression, something she had never seen from him before. Poor girl gets triple the shock when our boy can't even eat her food without throwing up. Carmen's self-esteem gets disintegrated as Yu barely manages to finish his meal. At night he takes a shower before bed. Bro's got the physique of a Greek god throughout his years of training, and unfortunately even our girl Carmen can't ignore looking at them. She's out here remembering how he built an impressive physique ever since he started training. After the shower, she's surprised to learn that Yu doesn't like sleeping in the bedroom. He prefers the bare floor out of bed, surprising best girl once again. Since Carmen has to keep watch over him, they sleep together. She thinks Yu is more human than she initially thought. She could see it in his eyes that he was about to cry. The idea of a human side for this boxing monster intrigues her. The guards working under K deliver the footage to K. Bro's out here stalking Yu on speed dial. The next day, these poor guards have to suffer keeping up with the world champion's training routine. Despite their excellent endurance, they're still no match for the quadruple world champion. When Yu ends up home, he sees an unsightly and bed hair version of Carmen. She instantly slams the door shut before returning like nothing even happened. Bro is genuinely confused about what happened. At the gym, K shows him Fabrizio's recent boxing match. The fight was against the middleweight champion against the world contender John Renault. The coach can just see it on John's face that he's gone through their shit before the fight. The dude is going crazy, much to the satisfaction of the Santorino brothers. The fight begins on near enough equal grounds. Yu is a little taken aback while his coach explains that Fabrizio excels in a dogfighting style. He's the dirtiest world champion when it comes to his rough movements. There's no sense of defense and the only focus is on the attack. Fabrizio excels in a theatrical boxing style, earning their slander. The opponents he fights are forced to pursue his boxing style, but that's exactly where he wants them. Kay even mentions that Fabrizio is using drugs to cut the distance between their strengths. Peter is among the people of the crowd and recalls the experience from their interview. They don't even give a crap about boxing, both of them. Marco criticizes the boxing fans but thinks they're doing the sport a service by giving everyone a good show. John gets headbutted but the referee doesn't even call it. When he retaliates, however, he gets instantly accused and warned. It's obvious they even bought the referee in this case. Marco takes pride in how the Santorinos handle the boxing world. The match that was supposed to be a show of professionalism was reduced to a dogfight. The reason John became so incredibly angry is when he learned from his daughter she's dating Marco. Now that's an uppercut not even Mike Tyson could recover from. She was manipulated by Marco into believing that he was a good person. Even though his father warned her, she naively trusted Marco. Then one day she came home crying her eyeballs out. It was clear what had happened. It was clear that Marco broke her completely. This is the reason John wants to slaughter Fabrizio, who perfectly plays on the boxer's emotion to deliver the killing blow. Despite being the better fighter, John was defeated because of a dozen fouls and the manipulation tactics of his opponents. This was the kind of challenge that Yu was up against. He resumes his early morning training with Carmen, who is surrounded by multiple men secretly eyeing them. The drunkard right in front has been paid a boatload of money to spill something on Yu. They even dope the shit out of him to make sure he does what he is told. When Yu draws near, the man pretends that he slipped but our boy just shadow steps so fast and dodges him. Carmen had laid out the initiatives for Yu. She prioritized that he stay clear of any people who come in contact with him. She also wanted him to stay away from the reporters' questions. Marco's out here spilling hundreds of nasty rumors about our boy. Carmen knew they were going to try and manipulate the media, but she's happy to give them something in return. She sneaked in spies of her own among Santorino's men. So the next day, he's the one who swims in hot waters being flooded by the media. Instead of annoyance, he's impressed. In this game, money prevails and Kay's got an endless amount thanks to his gym. Everything is going well except for our boy's food, which is apparently dreadful. The packages he receives are all being burned for his safety. She can't ever leave his side or use any electronic devices. But that's nothing to worry about since this guy is a super introvert who doesn't use anything. Carmen drills into his head that while Fabrizio won't lay a finger on him, Yu's cat is another thing. She prefers that he stay on his guard to protect his meow. Bro, the coach is staring at the cat like crazy. He is definitely cooking something. It's been half a decade since Yu's appearance at her gym. The high school student had now gone on to conquer 4 weight divisions. She thinks it's no shock he will win his upcoming fight and wonders if Kay's ultimate goal is to make him defeat Aaron. But even after defeating the legendary boxer, she fears our boy disappearing into nothingness just like the others. Just when she's having these thoughts, their group gets approached by a bunch of thugs. She's surprised and wonders if she miscalculated the thugs in the area. Carmen prioritizes Yu's safety, but our boy is already busy taking care of the threat. He literally grabs the gun and shoots their ankles. The boxer is about to end their lives when Carmen stops him at the last second. She realizes that he was actually about to kill these people. It was the same as Jean or Yuto when he stopped holding back. Despite this monstrous and uncaring side of his, our girl is a believer in his humanity and desperately hopes there is something human underneath his skin. To figure that out, she suddenly asks our boy on a date. The quadruple world champion is a mega virgin who doesn't know what to do on a date. Carmen explains the basics, and Yu accepts. So on their next off day, Yu receives her looking all dressed up and amazing. But she's a little disappointed since our boy is planning to go out wearing the most default man outfit ever. Carmen gives him a hairdo and learns that Kay recommended his spiky hairstyle for the ring. With his hair done, she wants them to go shopping to get our boy some drip. Carmen pulls out the flashiest shit for him to wear. The duo looks so embarrassed, but the best girl makes him wear the outfit anyway. Yu is definitely not feeling it while Carmen is eating it up on his embarrassment. They go through a bunch of different outfits, all of which make her laugh. Then Bro pulls up with a classic suit that makes him look like a model. Carmen gives him the green signal and proceeds to check out. They go to an amusement park. The roller coaster doesn't even amuse our boy, but at least it's entertaining for his girl and his cat. They explore a bunch of different enjoyments together. Bro even has a balloon of his own cat, such as Sigma Male. Through their photographs, Carmen finds annoyance with Yu's blank expression. She tasks him to follow a technique she is going to use. Carmen meticulously crafts the most beautiful smile while Yu looks like an abomination. Their next muse is a haunted house. This girl is out here fantasizing about their couple life like crazy. The plan is to draw closer to him when she gets scared. She reminds him not to attack people in the presence of ghosts. But this hypocrite is scared so badly that she bashes the hell out of the zombie. Girl ends up neutralizing the threat for real. Carmen is starting to realize that she just might have feelings for our boy. More haunted than any of the mannequins is Jean's dead face. Both of their girls scare each other while the men stare in confusion. Carmen is surprised to meet the former world champion in such a location. She's suspicious of him first, but remembers that this guy has honor and won't flinch in the presence of money. Stella openly despises Yu because the guy sent her man to the afterlife in their fight. But Carmen is no slouch. She's out here dishing out some real verbal retorts. They share a table together with Stella and Carmen on rough grounds while Jean is surprised to see him at such a location. He has noticed something about him. The former lightweight champion can't forget any instance of their fight. What's bothering him is the relaxed look in Yu's eyes, as if he has regained some humanity. Jean looks to Carmen and wonders if it's her influence. Bro is out here acting like a gigachad father as he openly spoils his kid. One of the cones ends up falling on top of Yu's head. This comes as an actual shock to Jean, as our boy would never get hit by something like that. Carmen draws information from his match against Marco, who actually gave him a tough fight back then. The guy specialized in expert strategy and even gave Jean a difficult time. Unfortunately, he was stronger and still won, but Marco's obsession with winning was clear to anyone. The former lightweight champion wants Yu to be on his toes as his opponents are dangerous. Parting ways, Jean just can't help but be bothered about the ice cream accident. He's actually scared of his loss if he keeps relaxing. The day come to an end with the couple chatting with each other. Carmen explores if he found what he was looking for. Yu tells her he wanted to pursue it, but now he's even more confused than before. She questions if Yu will continue his boxing career even if he doesn't find what he is looking for. Carmen recommends that he tries to find that same light in a different aspect of life. She wants him to enjoy the delicacies of life so that he doesn't have to look for anything. She's out here delivering god-tier riz by saying the light might be sitting next to him. After the fireworks, a strange girl approaches Yu as a fan, but she has a message for Carmen from Marco. She rips the note without even reading it. Everything was going well until that point. Carmen still enjoyed the date and prefers they return to their regular life. At that moment, Yu makes an unusual request to go on more dates with her. She feels delighted to say yes while Marco secretly enjoys their scene. Their daily routine continues as usual, and Yu is actually starting to like her food now. But the more he likes her, the more his boxing skills are taking a hit. The coach is mad, pissed, and wants to have a meeting with Carmen. He scolds her for having fun with him. Coach K is super annoyed and even confronts her for having feelings. Carmen tries to reason, but she gets shut down and relieved of her duty to guard him. Instead, Yu receives Mr. Funnynose as his new security guard. When Carmen returns home in a sour mood, she is blindsided by a stalker who was awaiting her arrival. The crazy middleweight champion Fabrizio had been waiting for this moment. A callback to the boy's first question. He never found what made it so interesting to hit people. Carmen's state is in a pinch as she suffered nasty injuries thanks to Fabrizio. Yu is devastated when Kay gives him the news. Kay takes the blame for not being careful enough with Carmen's health. He doesn't want Yu to be affected personally and emphasizes that he focuses on his training. In their press conference, Kay meets Marco and immediately confronts him about Carmen's situation and takes light of the matter. The interviewer asks for their impressions of the other person. Marco states that he is extremely proud of the coach with his undying thirst for victory. However, at the same time, he thinks that the boxers under his reign are toys that he plays with. But his newest obsession is just as much of a monster, so he thinks it evens out. The next hearing is from Coach K. My guy pulls the oldest trick in the book and swings full speed for a "your mom" joke. The crowd goes wild while Marco literally tries to attack him. K welcomes him to try because he's more than ready to beat the ever-living shit out of him. It's rare for even Marco to get peeved to this extent. The interviewer quickly shuffles to Fabrizio next, who openly declares that he will kill Yu in the ring. The atmosphere is tense as the microphone is finally handed to Yu. The quiet boxer remembers his heartfelt encounters with the one person who didn't see him as a person and valued his life as a human. In the end, hitting people led to the demise of Carmen. Yu breaks the ice and states that he isn't going to finish the fight quickly. He gives the spectators a shivering smile to emphasize that he's going to destroy Fabrizio in all 12 rounds. Peter is shocked because this is a first for Yu, who never even gave his opinion until today. After the conference, Marco vents off his frustration while Fabrizio is juicing the hell out of his body. It's necessary for him to take full doses because of Yu's insane abilities. Carmen wakes up the day of the fight. The crowd is going wild, especially for Yu's impressive track record of conquering divisions. Emerging from the side, Yu approaches the ring, causing the entire arena to go crazy and cheer for him. However, for his opponent, the faces of celebration quickly turn to expressions of anger. This man is met with no praise and instead receives the crowd with incredible hate. The Santorino brothers could not give a flying fuck about these guys, and straight up hit them with double the middle fingers. Fabrizio's hands are wrapped by the referee to prevent cheating, but Peter thinks it's actually a performance for the audience. Bob Norris believes that the fight is in Yu's favor since he survived the emotional turmoil already. At the same time, Fabrizio is looking juiced the hell up. This dude's abs look like they have abs. Coach K is aware of their doping and openly tells Yu to do whatever he pleases in this fight. The fight is about to begin with Yu not even showing a hint of expression. This monster is out for blood as the tension rises between the two fighters. The fight begins with Fabrizio lunging forth to attack. This kind of speed is on par with Yu's reflexive capabilities. This is thanks to Marco's genius plan, which involves Fabrizio becoming a monster so that they can defeat him. The middleweight maniac is still keeping pressure. Marco has planned for this fight to end up in psychological warfare. Knowing his impressive track record of never being hit even once, Marco has determined that Yu has a kind of phobia of receiving attacks. So Fabrizio pulls up a dirty little low kick, an illegal move. A normal fighter would take the hit, but Yu would always dodge because of his godlike reflexes. Dodging in an unusual manner would expose his weak point, allowing Fabrizio to cave in and attack him just like Yu's debut match. To his shock, our boy slips the punch by reading the movements of Fabrizio's shadow. He follows with a raging slam that flips Fabrizio's entire body in one shot. The whole world is shocked as the cheater goes down in one attack. More than that, Yu's body is pulsing in an abnormal manner. Coach K wanted to play by their rules and received an enhancement drug of his own. He's enjoying the show, while the effects of the drug massively increase Yu's performance. Carmen senses that something is not right. Fabrizio somehow gets up after that vicious punch. The round continues while Marco reflects that he intentionally hit him in the face instead of knocking him out in full. After all, it was Yu's promise to the Santorino brothers that he will annihilate them for 12 rounds. The scene shifts to Carmen, who remembers being captured by Fabrizio. Her oldest memory of her childhood is when her family was captured by terrorists. The helpless girl watched both of her parents lose their lives before her eyes. The feeling of loss made her shiver in fear, causing her brain to shut down. She had lost hope and accepted her end when a younger Kay rescued the girl and supported her until she grew up. After she grew up, she wanted to work under him, but by then, Kay had become an unrecognizable man. When Carmen was captured by Marco, she was mainly unharmed, even though they were trying to intimidate her. She comforted her in the face of fear and uncertainty. Marco entered the room and stated that he wouldn't have taken such harsh methods if she complied previously. He cut to the chase and explained that he wanted to make an offer. Interestingly, he asked about Yu. Carmen responded that they boast a professional relationship, but Marco knows she wants to help the boxer live a normal life, away from the clutches of his harsh career. He's aware that a man like Kay would never allow such a thing to come true as he is messed up in the head. The monster that is being nurtured under Kay's care is slowly going to lose all his humanity as a toy of an obsessed old man. Marco wonders if Yu ever wanted to box in his life. His offer is simple. He requires Carmen's cooperation to make Yu lose the fight, setting him free of the obsessed coach. Even though Marco is supposed to be an enemy, Carmen agrees with his words. It's clear as day that Kay's obsession will lead to Yu's descent to madness. At the same time, she believes in the man who saved her. She believes that both of them still possess a human side. Carmen declines signs the deal and recommends Marco to win the fight fairly. After that, she remembers waking up in the hospital bed. Mr. Funny Nose, or Yu's new guard, tells her about the current state of the match. Carmen remembers Marco setting her free without even hurting her. She couldn't understand his gesture, but it's because Marco doesn't really want Yu's anger to fester into oblivion, so he let her go without hurting her. Then comes the question, how did Carmen get reduced to such a position? She explains bumping into a bunch of thugs, even though it's clear she defeated them last time. In the ring, Yu is delivering a slaughterfest before the audience's eyes. They're seeing the hated middleweight champion get annihilated by his own medicine. The commentator Bob believes that Yu would have easily won the fight without the drugs. But this is Kay we are talking about. He wanted to prove a point, making it clear to anyone who dared to challenge them. He is the one manipulating people and beating them at their own game. He contemplated unaliving our boy's cat and even used Carmen's condition as the perfect catalyst for Yu's performance. After John Renault lost the fight, he learned from his daughter the truth of the matter. Marco didn't do anything to her and was only trying to scare her away. She begged her father to stop fighting them as they didn't cause her any harm. This paints the Santorino brothers in a different picture. They're not actually villains or malicious people like the rumors claim, but that doesn't matter to Yu, who is demolishing them in this match without a hint of remorse. Carmen, even in her compromised condition, wants to do something, but Funny Nose recommends that she doesn't try. It's because the lengths Kay is willing to cross are boundless. Funny Nose reminds her that Kay is a ruthless man who has taken countless lives in his time. He urges Carmen to stand down. In the ring, Fabrizio has suffered a mountain of injuries. Before the fight, Marco told his brother to remember Yu's game plan. Since he wanted to draw this fight out, it's a confirmation he will make sure to bash him for all 12 rounds. Fabrizio knew from then that it would be impossible to get the better of his opponent. The good thing about this fight is that Yu isn't interested in a quick victory. Coming as a shock to the commentators, Fabrizio drops his guard completely. He has assumed the stance of a grappler who is ready to use his reach to his advantage. But the monster Yu is not to be underestimated as he lunges forth and disappears into thin air. Reappearing from behind, Yu violently delivers dozens of punches all over the man's body with his superhuman speed. The thought of Carmen makes him speed up his punches even more. A satisfied Kay concludes that no matter how many tricks his opponent has up their sleeves, sheer power will dominate everything. The current Yu is striking down on his opponent like a calamitous disaster. There's no stopping his wrath, and he emphasizes this point by dishing out a furious punch in Fabrizio's family jewels, taking it upon himself to eradicate the next generation of scoundrels. Everyone saw this low blow of a punch, but the audience cheers for it while the referee refuses to hold Yu accountable. Marco learns that Kay bought the referee to such a disgusting amount that he's intentionally looking it over. The situation is going against Marco's favor, whose face is of frustration while Kay dominates as the true predator in this war. Fabrizio gets the ever-living shit beat out of him and eventually loses consciousness as the first round ends. The man vomits after taking so much damage he can barely stand. The audience is cheering for the scumbag's demise as they look down on the Santorino brothers. Somewhere in a church, a woman is desperately praying in the time of hopelessness. The big brother steps into the ring to save him. Marco remembers their mother giving him a drink to perform his best. Even though he didn't want Fabrizio to consume it, he did so anyway. She wants them to stop the fight if they can't win, as their mother truly cares for her children. Fabrizio wants to win this match for her mother, but right now, even his brother's words are incomprehensible to him. Marco instantly realizes that something is not right, as evident by the color of his lips. That's when he realizes another layer of Kay's treachery. This man delivered spiked milk for Fabrizio to drink right before the match. Their poor mother is basically the definition of a retarding person. The three siblings boasted different hair colors because their mother tried to pay off the debt their papa left them. Marco didn't despise being poor and thought this was just the way things are, but then he could see her mother struggling to pay rent. When leaving for school, Fabrizio and Marco never spent a day in class. They couldn't go to school but wanted to earn money so that Julia could. Marco was the intelligent one of the group and led the operations. He busied people with conversations while Fabrizio snatched their money. That's how they went around collecting cash. But their mother became desperate and didn't have the money to pay. She went out late and returned by morning. The poor brothers understood her pain and wanted to collect enough money to save her from this pain. The world was cruel to all, even if they were the rich or the poor, nothing mattered. The boys living in the slums were no exception to the rule. They were beaten down by a man who confronted their mother for stealing. He was threatening to report them to the police station if she didn't do as he said. She returned home the next morning to confront her kids. The boys had no words and ended up receiving their mother's beating. They knew that stealing was bad, but seeing their mother's condition, Marco couldn't sit around. He didn't accept the world who had treated his mother with such violence despite her disability. To them, evil is the way of the world. She even cried after beating them up, apologizing for being an irresponsible adult. Marco couldn't accept this world and sought revenge as his only salvation. The young boy sought his brother's guidance to read. Marco and Fabrizio learned at a young age that world champions make a disgusting amount of money and eat good food. The match resumes in a bloodbath with Fabrizio getting annihilated. Back then, the boys wondered if they should continue school and ask the teacher's help. Marco liked the idea and taught his brother how to read first. He returned in the afternoon after spending quite some time looking for their school. Marco did various jobs as a little boy to collect the money. His family rested, but Fabrizio realized that his brother was working day in and out. Marco wanted to exact his revenge against the man who toyed with his mother. He knew from a young age that he couldn't become a good adult. At the same time, Marco didn't wish for Fabrizio and Julia to grow up like him. He wanted to make his brother world champion or achieve something great while he did all the bad things. That night, the boy left to find the drunkard bald freak. He picked up a dollar bill, but right as he did, Marco bashed him with a stick. The little guy underestimated how many hits it would take to knock him out, so he sprinted and laid many traps. Tripping into one of those traps, the man fell face flat into a pool of tar. Using this opportunity, the boy whirled sharp stones all over his head. He knew he couldn't fight a grown man up front, so he took extreme measures to attack from a distance. The bald freak became enraged, playing right into Marco's hands. He had laid many traps for him in the alley. The drunk idiot chose to pursue the boy instead of thinking strategically. In his pursuit, Marco whirled another trap. A heavy boulder bashed the man's spine, but it wasn't enough to defeat him completely. Marco deployed another trap and smashed his nose, yet this persistent freak wasn't letting him go. The boy tried to run until he stopped and confronted him with a sharp weapon. Bald Egghead made fun of the kid for going around trying to kill people. He created a distraction and delivered an agonizing punch that caused the boy to fall to his knees. Egghead calls Marco's mother trash and thinks that he should dispose of the evil kid. Marco confirms that the man is indeed right, and that he should get rid of a scumbag like him. Fabrizio clutches the situation as he and his brother beat the shit out of the bald freak. The two brothers took down the man and collected his money. To make an example out of him, Marco took measures to make sure he never did anyone wrong again. After the fight, his brother confessed that he didn't want to go to school. Instead, he wanted to follow in his brother's footsteps. Marco wanted to learn how to box and become world champions so that no one could look down on them. The following day, the paralyzed man was discovered after receiving a brutal takedown by the two boys. They even made their mother happy with the meat they bought with the money. Even though the meat pie was terrible in taste, it was enough for the happiness of the Santorino family. Marco's mother liked Sundays because she got to pray and enjoyed family time with her children. Marco and Fabrizio's next venture was to learn how to box. Unfortunately, a boxing gym didn't exist in their village, and illegal clubs were the only thing they knew. One day, an old drunkard offered them a chance to learn how to box. Luciano Mondi introduced himself, but really he's just a nobody to the boys. This old man happened to be at the scene of the crime and saw everything. Marco threatened him back. The old man saw the vigor in their eyes and offered to teach them how to box. This is how they met their first master. He wanted them to beat the shit out of each other without really teaching them anything. Fabrizio and Marco started punching each other while Luciano observed their abilities. He could see that Fabrizio is a natural fighter who is handling his older brother without much of a problem. But when it comes to good decision making, Marco is the one who is the better of the two. He has determined strategy and knows how to plan for a good future. Luciano tells them about the two aspects involved in boxing, both mental and physical. Each of them has been blessed by one. The brothers confess their desire to become world champions. Luciano doesn't think it's enough because a world champion boasts both the physical and mental aspects. Since they specialize in one each, it will be hard. But the final aspect to boxing comes down to pure obsession of winning. That is what made the Santorino brothers so determined. The drunk man boastfully claimed he would help them become world champions if they learned from him. So from that day forward, he taught them how to fight. Luciano didn't want them to focus on their weaknesses and instead prioritize their strengths. He was ruthless with their training. Time passed as they entered their teen years and eventually blossomed into adulthood. Once they became adults, they confronted their wretched father who left the kids and their mother undefended with a load of debt. They beat him up and required him to sign unless he wanted a world of a beating. Luciano didn't interfere in their business and didn't care what they did. He wanted to give them advice but remembered he isn't their parent. Marco invited him for dinner to celebrate Christmas. Moving forward to their family dinner, the drunkard and his boys are pretending to know him as their boss. At home, their mother is surprised to meet an unexpected guest. Marco introduced Luciano as their boss. She treated him with kindness. Julia had also grown up around this time and became surprised to see the older man. She was always the observant type, so Marco had to quiet her down. Julia quickly broke the ice and even played around with Luciano's beard. It might have seemed like Marco's mother is about to end his life, but even she joins in on the fun. The dinner is ready at last. The family offers a prayer before enjoying the delicious meal. After the night, Luciano thanked the boys for showing him a good time. Marco offered him to come live with them, but the drunkard thought that his only place was in the gutter. Luciano parted them with sound advice. He didn't want them to become arrogant as there were stronger and more violent people in the world. He advised them to stray from the path of crime and become good people. Fabrizio shifted the conversation topic to a snowball fight. The boomer receives a snowball on his face. Playing with him in the snow, they felt like children and enjoyed the moment. Marco stated that they're still going to become world champions after clearing the village of crime. He has accepted his life as a criminal. Marco just wants to become the necessary evil to take out the trash. He harbors good intentions for the world in his own way and doesn't mind receiving the weight of punishment when he dies. Luciano doesn't hold them accountable for their sins as he thinks everyone is the same. He wished the best for them before saddeningly losing his life to the mafia. Julia was chatting up her mother about Luciano when suddenly, tragedy struck. Their mother's health declined. Maria prays for the safety of her children, but nothing goes her way with you pummeling Fabrizio in the ring. Julia comes to receive her mother who is still not feeling her best. Her son is experiencing a world of pain though and still asking for more. The match has suddenly turned into a boxing bloodbath. Even Bob is confused why the doctor and the referee has not interfered in the fight yet. Normally it would be stopped at once, but Marco knows that the association requires the Santorino brothers to stop the fight themselves. After all, the crowd is going wild with the entertainment and cheering of brutality. Coach K has played his cards perfectly. The round concludes, but it's only been 4 out of 12 so far. Marco recommends stopping the match as even after losing the title, they will still have plenty of opportunity to collect money, but his brother is surprised and doesn't want to stop in the middle of a fight. He's frustrated at the thought of humiliation. One day Maria and Julia were attacked by a bunch of crooks. While they remained safe, Luciano suffered critical injuries and suffered a major gash in his abdomen. At the start of the 5th round, Yu is staring down at his prey. Fabrizio remembers Luciano's words, who thought that they could become the most powerful figures in the underworld, but they still shouldn't go down such a path. He recommended his pupils to live their lives as accomplished boxers, even though there were people like Jean and Bob in the world who they could never defeat. He even warned them they might run into a true monster someday. Luciano's prediction was right as Fabrizio stared into the eyes of the predator. He reminded them that winning in life is impossible as enemies are always replaced by new ones. People only live a brief period of becoming the strongest before fading. Such was the life of his own family. It is hinted that he also dabbled into a similar path as the Santorino brothers and lost his family. He didn't care about the meaning of teaching those two young boys boxing, even if they didn't end up becoming world champions. Later, the Santorino brothers had to help their mother get a brain surgery. Yo slams down on Fabrizio, much to K's content. He wants him to show no mercy. Fabrizio struggles to keep up against him while Macro is still indecisive of what should be done. Luciano's life came to an end with his parting message for his pupils. Julia rushes her mother to the emergency room because of her condition. Fabrizio is in no condition to fight, while Marco begs that he stop the pointless match. But he doesn't want to quit, as quitting would invalidate all of their efforts and everything they've done so far. The fight continues even though Marco fully understands his brother is outclassed by the terrifying boxer. He's ready to throw the towel the second he feels his brother's life is in danger, which is surprising because that dude is barely surviving in this fight. The 7th round officially makes Fabrizio the only boxer to have withstood Yu's wrath to this extent. The terrifying boxer makes his offense without mercy. He doesn't spare even a moment for Fabrizio to attack. He remembers a conversation he shared with his brother when they were young. At the beginning of round 8, people started questioning the meaning of continuing the fight. Fabrizio doesn't want to succumb to this fight even if it breaks him. Round 9 starts off with Yu still demolishing this guy. He has probably hit him like 300 punches at least. Bro is eating that shit and questioning life. At the start of round 10, Fabrizio bears a hatred for the world. He hates that people have to struggle so much to live such normal lives. Round 11, the ring is tainted with the blood of the middleweight world champion. Finally round 12, the final round. Having survived up until this point, Fabrizio's face looks like it's going to need plastic surgery. Marco is about to surrender when the men of the association forcefully stop him. The concept of right and wrong is fragile and malleable. While Julia is begging for her mother's health, Marco is worried for his brother's life. What the world is bearing witness to is a public execution before their eyes. Marco begs Fabrizio to run. Yu demolishes his face with a brutal punch, one after the other. This time, Yu isn't holding back as he tears apart Fabrizio's body. The middleweight champion has already lost consciousness, and Yu is still going on and on without stopping. Fabrizio's condition is critical to the point he's lost his sense of hearing. All he sees is a monster that's tearing him apart. Fabrizio tries to punch him and prepares for a final bout. He embodies his philosophy and refuses to run from the ring. Fabrizio commands that he strike at him. Only 5 seconds remain on the clock. The monster charges for a final killing blow. This man is for real about to end him. 3 seconds as Julia is called by the doctor. 2 seconds as she remembers her family. The final second as Yu dashes full speed to end the man's life. The world comes to a shock when they see the presence of the radiant boxer appear on stage. He stopped Yu's punch and saved Fabrizio, while Julia also learns that her mother survived. The radiant figure, the one who had saved Yu from back then, has just appeared again. Some recognize him, some don't, but it's clear to many that Jay has stepped into the ring. The crowd wonders if he's making making a comeback. Jay tells him that they'll encounter each other in the ring next time. He walks right past Kay, who hates his sudden entry and even threatens to kill him someday. The Alphabets are having a real beef in this manhwa. Marco calls for immediate medical attention for his brother. After the conclusion of the middleweight title match, Yu won without any worries. Many had assumed that he was weak in longer time controls, but he showed everyone that he is the real deal. Peter thinks that Yu is the definition of a boxer who has crossed perfection and stepped into a line of inhumanity. There was a pivotal moment in this match. The retired boxer Jay personally stepped in to stop the fight. Normally a lawsuit would be issued immediately against anyone who tries to pull such a stunt, but Jay is different. Nobody knows why he stepped in the ring. Peter knows that Yu has created a monster who continues to grow to terrifying strengths. Both Jean and Stella watch the match unfold. His wife is worried like hell, but the former lightweight world champion thinks it's Kay who they should be really worried about. He desperately hopes that Yu gets saved by someone someday. Yuto Takeda watched the fight too. His new girlfriend noticed that he looked sad. Yuto seconds her opinion because he remembers his dear old friend having a similar expression. The scene cuts to Steel, who realizes Yu has become too strong. Even though Jay should be proud of his friend's achievements, he doesn't like the direction where Yu is headed. Typhoon tells him to stop worrying as he has his own match to worry about. Jay has acquired impressive success in his weight division too, and approaches the title match soon. Fabrizio wakes up next to his brother, shocked that he's still in one piece after the fight. Marco tells him about Jay's interference, which comes as a confusion to them both. He apologizes for putting Fabrizio to such lengths. Instead of insulting his brother, the former middleweight world champion thinks they've lightened their load a little. The both of them begin to cry as they were just abused children who were trying to make money for their mother. After his recovery, they go and meet her, completing their happy and loving family. In the end, they're still the same, and that's the conclusion for the Santorino family, who accepted their meaning in life. With their chapter closed, now comes Yu's next opponent. His trainer, Andrei Vlashenko, is pumped to finally meet a contender who can defeat Victor. The emptiness of Yu. The boxer had a million questions rained down on him by the interviewers. They were even asking about Jay, but it's nothing Yu cares about. He asked for Carmen's return as his object of interest. Kay informed him she had quit as there were people like the Santorinos who could appear again. He felt pity for Yu, who grew attached to her, and remembered the various moments they shared together. Kay recommended that he take a week's worth of rest. During this break, he contemplated the meaning of life. Emptiness followed him wherever he went. Was it the dance clubs, or the operating room where patients were fighting for their lives? Was meaning found in a worrisome desk job, or among the people who protested the politicians? Could it be found in grief? Yu begged the question of the meaning of life. He was an empty boy with darkness of a past haunting him. Throughout everything that had unfolded up until this moment, Yu's mental state depreciated. Holding a gun to his head, he was about to end everything when the sight of his cat made him stop. The depressed boxer went to bed with his cat. The scene shifts to Aaron, who is watching the beautiful graveyard of stars in the sky. The heavyweight champion executes masterclass Riz at his wife. He expresses a kind of uncertainty. He knows that some kind of calamity is awaiting them. Angela comforts him like the supportive wife she is. Her smile helps him regain his confidence while Yu is out here dying single with his cat. Coach K is satisfied with his powerful punches. Their next target is the world champion Aaron. Even though Victor is supposed to be Yu's opponent, it's Aaron who he should really be worried about. The coach wants to grant him the perfect body to demolish his next obstacle. His training regimen will also increase in difficulty. Yu goes on to crush his following few opponents. It's always the same idiots thinking they can beat him until they get punched in the face. The first fight of the super middleweight division ended in less than 2 seconds. The second fight against the grizzly bear looking Chad ended in 2 seconds as well. The super middleweight champion Rook Stone was demolished. In his third fight, Yu's opponent was whining because this dude knows he's about to get destroyed. His coach acknowledges him, so this single hairbald fuck thinks he's an anime protagonist who will win. That delusion gets uppercutted in his face as Yu wins the fight in less than 2 seconds. His last opponent is the champion of the light heavyweight division. He too gets crushed 1 second into the fight. Yu has solidified his status as the invincible boxer who has no equal. He's no longer giving the audience a show and instead focuses on slaughtering his opponents. Peter thinks that Yu's objective is Aaron, even though Victor is supposed to be his next opponent. The outcome of their fight remains to be unclear. Andre is out here cheering for his own pupil's demise when Mohawk Lover pops up and asks his coach what's up. The cruiserweight world champion doesn't think much of Yu's strength. Andre emphasizes that he won't be able to defeat someone like him. Victor nearly punches his own coach in the face. Bro has a kink for Mohawks and believes no one without one has a chance against him. What's more is that this dude literally has an entire cult of Mohawk men. It's not a surprise his own coach is fed up with him. Peter leaves his junior reporter Tommy to handle the interview with Victor. You might be questioning why, and the answer is quickly revealed when the young boy pops up at the gym. The gym looks like the opposite of what it should be. The punks pick on the scrawny looking kid as he introduces himself. They bully and scare him shirtless while the poor boy apologizes. The interview begins with his coach Andre, who is straight up dissing his own boxer. He doesn't even have any remorse for the man, and straight up shit talks the ever-living crap out of his pupil. Andre explains that he became a trainer 8 years ago to pursue a traditional style. He wanted to become someone like Jean. At the time, his gym prioritized hard work. That is until one dude with a mohawk turned up. This dude looked goofy as hell, but he still had ferocious punching power. Victor impressed the coach with his powerfully charged punches. Andre introduced himself as the head coach and wanted him to pull for the world championship spot. Victor was fueled by the flames of excitement, but for Andre, it was the worst decision he ever made in his life. Because when he asked the dude to clean up, Victor boasted his obsession for mohawks. Andre realized that this guy is basically a dumbass with a lot of talent. He tried teaching him how to throw jabs, but this man thought it was insulting to throw such a punch. Andre decided to let him do as he pleases. He even placed a bet to do anything Victor wanted when he became world champion. The day of Victor's debut match, he wasn't doing anything but crazily throwing hooks. Of course, that left a lot of openings, and he got nuked in the face for it. His coach thought that it was pointless to have a single move as their specialty, but something happened in the 4th round. His opponent had grown too confident, but unfortunately slipped and received a devastating punch. It was a total knockout, and a first victory for the behemoth. Andre understood that luck played a huge role in this fight, so he hoped for his next opponent to teach him a lesson. But then Victor knocked him over too. The same thing happened and his lucky punch ended many boxers. Andre couldn't comprehend what was going on. Even though the boxer boasted an incredibly powerful punch, it was ridiculous to accept that a single move landed him a fight against the cruiserweight world champion himself. Mohawk Man had already acquired many supporters by then. Before entering the fight, Victor reminded his dear coach that he's going to make him get a mohawk after he wins. And that was the day Andre knew his life was over. Everyone's heard the famous quote from Bruce Lee about practicing one move. Mohawk Man is basically the definition of that quote. This guy spams only one attack, and that led him to contend for the title. In his match against Gilbert Einstein, even the commentator Bob Norris acknowledged the trash skills of the crazy boxer. But it's indisputable that he still won all his fights. Victor is the first champion to break every boxing convention and still win. The fight begins and this dude Einstein is legit throwing Newtonian punches out here. Bro is calculating everything as he tosses Victor's shit around. It's basically a smooth brain versus Einstein if he was buff. Victor got taken down, and quite unusual for a coach, Andre was actually cheering for his demise. Mohawk Man realized that he was up against a genius of boxing, but with the power of, I am angry therefore I am stronger, he pulled up again. Bro proceeded to get his shit tossed for 12 whole rounds until he was a mess. Even Andre was pissed that all his previous opponents were getting hit by something so flashy and losing to Victor. Bro is out here cheering for Einstein who's throwing punches all Saitama style. Victor retaliated, but it wasn't any use. The genius decided to stop for one moment before delivering his revolutionary energy equation punch. What a phenomenal display as Victor gets taken down again. People thought it was the end for him, while Einstein urged that he acknowledge the difference in their might. But that's exactly the kind of remark that would awaken Mohawk Man's spirit. The dude's parents had mohawks too. Dude is a big ball of nothing. He's an animal without a mind who refuses to give up. Victor tells goofy Einstein that he doesn't care about the future like intellectual people do. Bro gets called a one-brain-celled organism. Einstein is ending his career figuratively and literally. He rushes to finish his opponent, but tragedy strikes as even the famous Einstein slips and receives Victor's wrath in full. The fight ends with Victor's victory. Andre's fate was sealed as a new cruiserweight world champion was born. And that's how they got here. Andre emphasizes that the secret to Victor's success lies in his extreme natural luck. Andre emphasizes that luck is the only factor that contributed to the man's success. In fact, his disciple's very existence is an insult to boxing. Tommy Boy is filled with admiration because he's more than just excited for his match with Victor. His coach emphasizes that Yu's conditioning is for his battle against Aaron. His coach deems it impossible for the lucky fool to win again. Mohawk Man barges inside and doesn't give 2 cents about the interview. All he cares about is a special training session. Tommy doesn't know what's going on and gets excited when Victor tells him about his oh-so-powerful monologue about becoming the strongest creature on Earth. Dude just wanted to become a man who could wear his mohawk with pride. The solution was simple: defeat big and strong guys and become strong himself. So this dude went out in the wild and fought against boars, bulls, kangaroos, you name it, and he did it. His final challenge was a powerful bear. It was a spectacle of man versus beast. But unfortunately, even this bear had the misfortune of slipping and falling right to his doom. Victor secured his spot as the strongest when he suddenly realized his next goal. Dinosaurs from back then were the strongest, but then he couldn't understand why they went extinct if they were strong. The cruiserweight freak found his answer in absolute nature. His objective transitioned to achieving the ultimate punch. He thinks little of you as his power pales in comparison to the champion's fist. The special training arc begins. All this man cares about is flashy punches with obscene names. He climbs Everest to acquire a mountain punch, flies through a tornado punch, punches lava for magma punch, and even tackles the sea for the tsunami punch. Even Andre is out here praying to God to stop this man's ridiculousness. Bro is begging Zeus to run a lightning bolt up his ass. Lightning does strike down Victor, causing a moment of celebration. Bro thinks he's finally free, but the Mohawk Man, just like a lottery winner, remains unaffected. He's one of the rarest cases who survived after being struck by lightning. As for Yu, he's got pretty bad luck opening a paper can. Back at the Lions Boxing Club, Arnold is the top trainer who isn't feeling his brightest about Victor. That's because Yu's next opponent is someone favored by Lady Luck. He shares his concerns with Kay regarding the upcoming boxing match. Back to Victor's chaotic training arc. This dude is pummeling through ice in the Antarctic. Arnold tells the coach they should prepare something in advance since they're dealing with a boxer out of the ordinary. Victor, on the other hand, trains like a goddamn Dragon Ball Z character. He's just invented the iron punch in a construction cave. Resuming Arnold's conversation, he shares his obvious concerns of their opponent being an extremely lucky person. It's actually evident by Yu's shoelaces constantly getting snapped. This makes Arnold sweat bullets because the effects of luck are already kicking in. Mohawk Man trains in a contest of speed with his all-new Gatling punch, while Arnold recommends they go for a point-based strategy because the concept of a knockout could end up unlucky for Yu. At the same time, Kay thinks that even if they reduce the chances of misfortune happening, it's still possible to have the odds of failure stacked against them. Again, a light bulb snaps from the ceiling and crashes down, nearly hitting Yu, giving Arnold even more things to worry about. At the church, Andre is begging science to prevail. Tommy Boy is asking for a raise and an increase in height. Poor midget got stuck with 2 struggles. Mohawk Man is thinking about shitting in his usual style. He receives the holy water on his fist, therefore blessing his chances with the holy punch. Bro has more punches than I have friends. Kay emphasizes that they can't change destiny, and that is the same for Yu. He doesn't even entertain the idea of him losing, as that's just impossible. The day of the match eventually arrived. 2 boxers of prestige were about to go head-to-head and make history once again. On one hand is Yu, an invincible fighter with the ambitious goal of conquering 8 weight classes. On the other side we have the cruiserweight world champion himself. The outcome of the match is unknown to everyone. Bob Norris, being our boy's #1 fan, thinks that he'll win no matter what. Such is the gap between their abilities. So in this fight, the odds are stacked against Mohawk Man, but he doesn't care because all he cares about is punishing spiky-looking dudes with sleepy eyes. Andre encourages him to become the strongest in the world. Victor roars like a wild beast, earning the praise and excitement of the crowd. Even Tommy Boy has been converted to a Mohawk stan. Aaron is watching this fight like everyone. The fight begins with both fighters lunging right at each other. Oddly enough, Yu's foot slips right at the beginning of the match, shocking Andre and Kay at the same time. Incredibly low odds somehow seem too easy for Victor to accomplish, as evident by his daring adventures and survivability. Victor launches a crushing knockout and our boy gets launched. The entire world is shocked as the referee deems Victor the champion. But this upsetting outcome is just a prank by the author, who damn near changes the story title to The Mohawk. After this match, Victor became impossible to ignore. He was considered the strongest boxer and even outshone Aaron. Such is the power of one's incredible Mohawk. He answers a bunch of interview questions and claims to become the strongest boxer in the universe. The people cheered for their Mohawk champion, and soon he was asked to run for president. Andre couldn't believe his fucking eyes as to what was unfolding. Everything was in the champion's favor. They even ignored his nationality as a Russian boxer. Then he was even elected as the president thanks to his popularity. At this point, you might be wondering if this is a joke or not, because this guy goes crazy and even introduces an era of martial artists who would fight wars to determine world peace. World unification was officially achieved with the fists of one man, the emperor of the world, Viktor Grigorievich. Bro introduced a policy to require wearing the Mohawk hairstyle, but unfortunately tragedy struck when the aliens invaded. Victor personally hopped on a fucking rocket and launched himself to space to fight the aliens. While all of this is going on in his head, the cruiserweight world champion has already been knocked out. Just to recap what happened before this clustered mess of a dream that we just saw, when Yu slipped, he remembered Ryu's impressive recoil punch. Copying the motions, Yu delivered a shattering smash that knocked the world champion, prompting his loss 1 second into the fight. This man Andre probably experienced the happiest day of his life. No one is surprised by the outcome of the fight, not even the commentators. Victor's boxing career ended in the ring, and he realized he actually lost the fight. His coach can finally finally trash-talk the heck out of him, and even taunts him for participating in the shortest boxing match ever. Victor and his coach can agree on one thing. It was fun, and that's all he cares about. Victor offers his hand to Yu, who reciprocates in kind. The cruiserweight world champion is shocked that such a tiny hand could throw a monstrous punch like that. Sensing his unease with boxing, Victor tried to persuade Yu to stop boxing. Kay, being a cockroach, intervened and called him a damn loser. Obviously, it would spoil his plans, but that's how the cruiserweight world title match ended. Yu has taken down 4 world champions who excelled at their class. Peter believes there is more to Victor's boxing than just luck, such as his excellent defense and endurance. It also goes to show for his trainer Andre, who refined his student to become the ultimate machine. If Victor didn't behave like a dumbass, he would have boasted the strength to contend against Aaron, but this buffoon lost to Kay's newest monster. The final fight between the two monsters of boxing is right around the corner. Coach K is physically pumped as he had been waiting for so long to get to this moment. The legendary boxer Aaron observes the fight and intends to hold a press conference. He's a loving man at home who really loves his kids. The following day, Aaron makes a speech that shocks the boxing world. He speaks directly of his retirement, refusing to become a toy of the old man who trained him. The announcement comes as a shock to Kay. Aaron's news causes a sudden upset in the boxing world, but he answers with a cold certainty that there's nothing in it for him to gain anymore. He doesn't want to become a showpiece to the world of entertainment. Coach K accepts his challenge and decides to exploit the world champion's weakness. Kay is ruthless in his resolve to prove Yu's superiority. When Bob Norris understood Kay's insanity, he refused to box under his name and switched his profession. The idea of boxing had become pointless to him. The same happened with Jason Freddy, as every boxer Kay trains becomes a crazy behemoth who eventually quits. Coach K went on a world trip to find his 5th protege. Even though he was looking for talent, Kay sought something that exceeded talent, something inhuman, something that exceeded even the 3rd and 4th proteges who became his champions. Kay continued his undying research for a superhuman monster. Then one day, when he had lost all hope, he observed his driver Aaron. The man boasts an impressive body and a wide frame. Kay was eager to test him out in the art of boxing, but just like Yu, his answer was similar in a way that he did not appreciate hitting people. They decided to take a detour because of traffic. Eventually, his driver requested Kay to remain seated and call the police while he's there. Saying so, he got out of the car to save a woman from a criminal. Kay was excited for this moment to play out and waited in anticipation. The man refused to let her go even after Aaron told him a 3rd time. He exploded in anger and stabbed the woman's thigh. Facing a man with a knife is no easy task. Kay was looking to test the man's physical prowess in this fight. The criminal lunged forth to stab him, but to his shock, the blade couldn't even penetrate his body. Kay remembers his muscles popping out beneath his clothes. He was the kind of talent that he had been desperately looking for. Aaron Kidney requested the bald freak to stand down. Even after being stabbed, he isn't looking to hurt him. Aaron decides to launch this guy into the wall. The sound of a skull being shattered reverberated in the scene. Bro literally killed a guy, and Kay was eating it up. The police arrived at the scene to handle the situation. They were shocked to learn a punch could cause such severe damage. Before their arrival, Aaron officially apologized to Kay, but the coach helped him instead. He didn't want the guy to get into trouble and created a scene where he was stabbed. In case you still haven't noticed, this old man is actually crazy. Kay lured him with the idea of discovering the meaning behind his existence. After the crime scene, there weren't any charges pressed against Aaron as he acted in self-defense. At the Lions boxing gym, he tore apart boxers despite his first time ever boxing. Kay wanted to bring out the extent of his power. Just then, one of the old boxers he trained turned up to exact revenge. Kay thought he was the perfect plaything to test his new subject. He called the mad dog a piece of trash and didn't even look at him. Kay entertained the idea of taking him back as long as he could defeat the newbie. Pumped and excited, he enters the ring not knowing the consequences of his actions. Frederick Jason is a former world champion who dominated 4 divisions. He was the 4th student who became the strongest boxer around. Jason was the definition of fear. He relied on a raw psychological factor translated into brute strength that terrified his opponents. He was the kind of guy that could also be classified as a monster. His only weakness was his madness, which prevented him from becoming the strongest boxer in the world. The fight begins, and almost at once Aaron gets flooded by a tsunami of disastrous blows. But he stands there with his impenetrable body of armor, while his opponent tired himself out. This behemoth caused a fear into the former world champion. Towering over him as he gently comforts him with words, Aaron prepares to attack. Jason was picked up by Kay when he offered him a chance to see a whole new world. But now, he was nothing more than a tool to his previous master. Aaron lands his punch, sending this dude right to the hospital. Kay wanted to drill victory inside Aaron's head. He wanted him to understand that everything he cared for is in a realm of superiority amongst men. Aaron became a monstrous force, rising as the world champion of the heavyweight division. Aaron gets up at night ready for his boxing routine, but then he remembers he quit boxing. The man is free of his burden, so he decides to sleep it out. The feeling is nice, but it bothers him because he can't sleep, so he spends hours building his endurance like Yu. Aaron sees a bunch of people who greet the champion on his run while Yu trains in loneliness. He feels refreshed by the end of his sprint and thinks he's finally free. Back at home, he eats with his family. My guy is forced to eat carrots as he may be world champion, but he can never escape from the wrath of the average housewife. Meanwhile, Yu stares at the cat food, realizing that his precious little cat is not eating it for some reason. Aaron takes his daughter out to an amusement park and feels guilty for being able to experience such happiness. The scene cuts to Kay, who has prepared a gigantic punching bag for Yu to practice with. After all, he has a beast to slay. Aaron's wife consoles him, stating his best qualities while Yu is busy tearing apart the bag from every angle. Big man experiences happiness while our boy has been the most beefed up he's ever been. Bro looks like he's been eating trenbolone sandwiches. Kay knows he doesn't even have to do anything to bring his other monster back to the ring. Because one fateful night, a depressed Carmen turns up to beg his family for help. She weeps in their comfort and tells them that Kay plotted her demise. The case is sad because even reporting to the authorities won't help them. The man they're dealing with will only retaliate with even greater violence. With what words she could muster, Carmen pleaded with the heavyweight world champion to drop out of retirement for a final fight and save Yu's life. She wants him to lose at least once so that he can no longer become Kay's puppet. As for Yu, things are getting worse and worse as his cat vomits blood, hinting a sign of decline. After Carmen's speech, it's actually his wife who pleads with the world champion to get back in the ring to save a life. She thinks there are other people in this world that need to be saved and that he needs to win no matter what. With conviction, Aaron prepares to win his final fight in the world of boxing. The next day, the world goes crazy with the heavyweight champion's announcement of returning to the ring. This match will finally decide which of them is the greatest boxer of all time. For his training, the behemoth goes to his new coach who looks like he's got one foot in the giving. The coach immediately advises Aaron that he will struggle in the upcoming fight. On the flip side, a police officer makes the mistake of investigating Kay's facility. When he gets inside, he's shocked to see a human dodging literal cannonballs from every direction. Yu is participating in a do-or-die training regimen to survive Aaron's cataclysmic punches. Over to the heavyweight world champion's training, his coach explains that it's necessary for all of his training partners to require a bomb suit, as without it, they would literally die. It's like going into the ring with the definition of a nuclear bomb packed into a punch. match. Time passed as both formidable fighters trained in a burst to achieve excellence. You managed to save his cat by going to the vet, but things are not looking great as it's unusually old and does not have a long time left to survive. Aaron has his loving family supporting him and rooting for his victory. The day of the fight finally arrived. All of Kay's preparations up until this point have been completed. Kay reminds him of the first advice he gave our boy about boxing. He better channel that ultra instinct level of dodging, or he's gonna die. There's no way he's going to survive the ring if even a single punch lands on his body. Kay's only instruction for Yu is to kill the world champion before he's able to get a solid hit in. Instead of worrying about the match, Yu tells his coach to take care of his cat if he dies fighting Aaron. The coach accepts, and they head out to the ring. The cheering of the crowd is on another level, as this is the boxing fight of the ages. All eyes are set on these two folks who are legitimately the strongest boxers. Aaron is hell-bent on shattering Kay's expectations by defeating Yu. The match to decide the strongest monster begins now. The heavyweight champion senses the emptiness in his opponent's eyes and desires that he live his life as a human. He adopts a savior role for Yu and immediately lunges to attack him as soon as the fight begins. Our boy begins his dodging streak while Yu charges the same punch that destroyed many world champions before. The result is shocking as it doesn't even dent the impenetrable wall standing before him. He dashes away before his opponent is able to get a solid punch in. Our boy survives his opponent's wrath with such insane speeds that even the crowd can barely see what's going on. Before the fight, Kay advised Yu to bust out everything in his arsenal for this one match. For Aaron, he boasts a number of athletic advantages that could overwhelm Yu if he isn't careful. His training was nothing in comparison to the real deal. The heavyweight world champion's coach advised the same to his student. He outlined Yu's monstrous reflexes and speed that he will need to look out for. Yu presses his punches against the man's body, but they're barely even moving him. The man standing before him is a mountain of muscle. Hitting him guarantees hurting your own fists. He doesn't even have to defend because his body does the job for him. Aaron's coach advised him to take the match in the corner, as that would be a guaranteed spot for his victory. With how aggressively he tries to push back Yu, Kay realizes their strategy too. But that's exactly the kind of thing he had been anticipating. Instead of avoiding the corner, our boy shows everyone he isn't afraid of shit and steps into it. No one knows why he pulled such an abnormal move, as it would limit Yu's chances of escape. Aaron thinks the fight is coming to an end with his next punch. But this is Yu we're talking about, who caves in on his advantage and delivers 4 roaring punches that even send back Aaron. His coach realizes that Yu has been concealing his true strength since the beginning of this fight. Next up is the Titan's turn to use his full power, so he goes into beast mode as the monsters stare each other down. The real fight between monsters is beginning. The fight begins with a jab to his face. Aaron cuts the air with his punches while Yu barely evades the wind, cutting shockwaves from his attacks. He counters and dodges as the referee can't even comprehend why he's standing in the ring of monsters. The 4th round is a true test between speed and strength. Even his new coach is shocked to witness Aaron's full strength at this level. He's the one who is leading the game against Yu, who is still delivering counters way past the perceptiveness of the human eye. They're going at each other, but it's clear to him that the heavyweight world champion is closing in on the gap. This is because the very punches Aaron generates send vibrations across the ring. Yu has to account for the wind and the impact generated as he dodges each attack. While he has been evading them so far, it would be impossible to keep up this momentum. Pressure is creeping up on him as the ring is a battlefield of war. A single strike from Aaron implies death, so our boy's body is working overtime to make sure he doesn't get obliterated from this world. Kay still thinks Aaron is holding back and wants the monster to reveal even greater strength. He's the symbol of fear and victory, a man who is superior to all. He defeated boxers in the most prominent era of boxing and became the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. His opponents came from many approaches, but such emotions were trampled in the face of this monster, who stood at the top to represent the peak of boxing. Peter remembers questioning what boxing meant to the legendary champion. He wanted to learn the meaning of life, but he is no longer sure of what it means. It's just a sport that gives people honor and money for crushing others. Then for the first time, the heavyweight world champion delivers a sharp punch that chips the flesh off of Yu's ear. The invincible boxer who had never been hurt in a fight receives his first wound. The 4th round concludes as the scene shifts to Peter's conversation with Aaron's coach. They talked about the concept of geniuses and how people with incredible ability don't feel the sense of superiority that many others believe. Instead, because of their isolating talent and strength, they feel insane fear and loneliness. The coach advises Aaron to maintain his guard because their opponent isn't going down too easy. Kay observes Yu's chipped ear and draws a blank expression. The fight continues in round 5, and only Bob from the commentators has noticed the power imbalance between the two fighters. Yu is being overpowered in this fight, while Aaron is glad to have met someone who could understand his pain and loneliness. He met many boxers who spent countless hours training to achieve a goal. They did all of that to get crushed by him without remorse. He thinks Yu feels a similar way and states that they're not boxing but repeating a bunch of pointless movements. The geniuses, the monsters that people revere, aren't blessed by God-given talent, but instead they're cursed. Yu is slowly overpowered as more of his flesh is chipped from his shoulders. He can't perfectly evade the monster's punches anymore. Aaron wants to save Yu from the real monster that is Kay, but then something happens. The heavyweight world champion freezes before coughing a pool of blood. Kay reflects that simple fear could never move a human like Yu, who had only known emptiness as his closest family. What's more is that despite his body of steel, Kay had been mercilessly training Yu to rupture Aaron's gut. From the day he started boxing to up until now, that's what his training has all been about. The damage accumulated is sure to affect him. Kay thinks his foolish old protege should reject finding meaning in boxing and focus on surviving. Yu doesn't let him down easily as he delivers agonizing blows all over his body. The emptiness of the boy symbolizing the coming of death strikes fear in Aaron's heart. Aaron coughs out blood as the same strength which became his strength is now becoming his downfall. Kay once confronted him about his hesitation in finishing off his opponents. He was the kind of person who didn't possess fear, even though violence incites fear. Each act of sin is committed because it is rooted in the fear of loss. But that fear translates into strength for every human except the heavyweight monster. He was a being that far surpassed such notion as his strength trumped his fears. But his hesitation was a foul, making him an incomplete monster. He defended against his title matches and soon confronted Kay that he didn't feel any meaning in boxing. Kay told him that he has yet to accept his place at the top of the food chain as the strongest instead of finding meaning. Aaron didn't like that explanation and figured he was dealing with a nutcase, so he left. Coach thought his dream had been an impossible ideal, as even brute strength became its own limitation. He had given up all hope until he found his greatest protege, a being that trumps and transcends humanity. Aaron feels a unique emptiness, a kind of pain that he never experienced in his life. The feeling of death, the realization of agony as pain causes its way through his body. The match required him to kill or be killed in this ring. The heavyweight world champion realized that he was an idiot for trying to save his opponent. He forgot his true self as a monster who took away the lives of others. He remembers the memories he shared with a girl at the orphanage. The boy was only 11 years of age when he killed someone in his life. The girl he was friends with got into a heated argument against him. He tried pushing her away but couldn't control his strength, leading to her death. That was when the young boy realized how isolated he was. His talent was meant to destroy and topple others. Coach K helped him pursue a new aspect of life, the life of riches and status and fame. He was a god amongst men and relished the glory. But even such luxuries proved to be pointless. Aaron couldn't find a semblance of meaning in his existence. One day, he was wasted when fate brought him to the same woman who he once saved. She became his savior and gave him meaning. The heavyweight world champion places his own survival on priority, and instead of saving you, now he will work to demolish him. In the first time in the history of boxing, Aaron has assumed a general boxing stance. He had never been the type to use traditional techniques because strength was enough to topple all of his opponents. But it was different now. The match indicated life or death, and he couldn't hold back. Kay is enjoying the visual feast as this is what he wanted most. He wants to fully realize the only meaning to life, the absoluteness of superiority. Each boxer focuses on a multitude of aspects besides strength. There are skills and techniques that can often outclass strength, but for the heavyweight behemoth, he didn't require any technique to conquer the world. Now that same monster is attempting to enter the world of boxing with all his might. The fight starting from now will decide Yu's survival. There is no way he could survive even a single attack from Aaron, who has now acquired the stance of an ordinary professional boxer. Our boy is going to have a world's worth of trouble evading his impossible blows. The first jab struck Yu with an insane speed. In that brief moment, our boy couldn't evade or block the strike. The only thing he could do in that moment was to redirect his punch, and he did so with precision so as to avoid shattering his entire fist. It may seem impossible, but it's the only option available to Yu, or else he will be obliterated under the champion's heel. A second punch is thrown, this time much faster than the previous. It leaves his fist throbbing. More and more of his punches are starting to become a problem for our boy. His flesh is being chipped right off as dodging becomes impossible. Yu dodges another lethal punch by allowing Aaron to strike him in the gap between his flesh. Bob Norris concludes that they're watching a killing